Mel Kiper Jr.'s Mock Draft 4.0, which is now available on ESPN Plus, and here are the highlights. No surprise at the top. Mel has Trevor Lawrence going number 1 overall to Jacksonville. With Sam Darnold now in Carolina, Mel has the Jets taking Zach Wilson at 2. The 49ers, who traded up to the Dolphins spot, have moved up from 12 to 3, and Mel has them taking Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. So no big surprises there. At 4, here comes a new trade. The Dolphins moving up into Atlanta spot to take Florida's superstar tight end Kyle Pitts. With that 6th pick, then the Falcons would take Trey Lance, the quarterback from North Dakota State. And then another trade at 10 overall. Mel forecasting the Patriots to move up from 15 to the Cowboys spot to take Ohio State's Justin Fields. And so here it is, the new top 10 in its entirety. It includes Joe Burrow getting protection, with the Bengals taking Penei Sewell from Oregon. 2 receivers in the top 10. You see them there, Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith. And the first defensive player would be Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons, going to Denver at number 9. And here he is, Mel Kiper, as we are just 2 weeks and change away from the draft. And this is fascinating. People will look at this and say Bill Belichick never does this. But, of course, for the last 20 years, he hasn't had to do it because he's had Tom Brady. Why do you see Bill Belichick moving up here to take Fields?
I think the pressure to get that quarterback, Greeny. When you're in a division with Josh Allen and Tua and Zach Wilson, now you have to go get somebody like Justin Fields, who I think is the 2nd best quarterback in this draft. Some agree, some strongly disagree. Some think he's the 5th, 6th best quarterback in this draft, if you can believe that. But I think when you look at the mixed opinion, could allow him to slide down. When we know the top 3 are locked in, then it becomes Trey Lance or Justin Fields for the 4th spot. If it is, in fact, Trey Lance, that's kind of consensus I heard when I made the calls over the weekend, Greeny, then Justin Fields is available. Now, does Denver, what happens with the Washington football team, what happens with Chicago? There are other teams that could make that move, but I think New England, to me, is front and center. Whether they want to stay at 15, they could, but then who's going to be their quarterback? Down the road. Think about next year's quarterback. So you're going to have the number 1 pick in 2023 to get the guy? Maybe not. Probably not. So I think when you look at New England, if Justin Fields does slide, the opportunity then presents itself for teams like New England, Greeny, to move up and get him.
So many things you say require unpacking. We will circle back on Fields' stock slipping, and we will circle back on whether or not Mac Jones is or is not a lock at 3. But let me bring the rest of the crew in, and let's all get at this morning. There we go. Louis Riddick has gotten up with us early today. David Pollack is with us, and Jeff Darlington gets up early as well. And so, Louis, let me go there to you. You played for Bill. You know Bill Belichick well. Again, for the last 20 years, he's never taken a quarterback in round 1, but obviously he hasn't had to. What do you think of the idea that he may get very aggressive in 2 weeks in finding the true ultimate successor to Tom Brady?
I think he'll explore it. There's no question about that. I think he understands that although he has Cam Newton under contract, he still has to look further down the road and whether or not he believes, that Cam Newton is ultimately the future over the next 3 or 4 years or not. He has to make that decision. And I believe they're going to be looking to get a quarterback. It's just a matter of whether or not the price is right in order for him to move up to get one. I think Bill is one of the best value players when it comes to moving up and down the draft board that we've ever seen outside of Jimmy Johnson. And I think he will take a hard look at this, but he will not force this issue. I think, look, you have to understand whether you like this or not. The reason why they have Cam back in the fold is so they didn't feel as though they were going to be forced into doing something that didn't make sense for them from a cost basis. And if it doesn't make sense for them from a cost basis, what they'd have to give up in order to move from 15 to 10 in this scenario, then they won't do it. And they will go ahead and they will ride with Cam for 2021. They will bank on the fact that he will be much better than he was in 2020, and they'll readdress it again a year from now. They will not force anything, though, no matter what the position.
So, David Pollack, let me come to you then on that thought, because you and I have been talking about this now going all the way back to the middle of the last college football season. And while Mel moves a lot of pieces around, what remains in place is a projection that Fields is the 5th quarterback off the board. So, David Pollack, as one who covers the college game for us as closely as anyone, what is your perspective on Fields being number 5 in this draft?
I'm okay with it. When I look at Justin Fields, when you talk about Justin Fields in the pocket, just straight accuracy, it's stupid. Let's not talk about deficiencies there. You give him time, he's clean, he knows what's going on, dude. He is ridiculously insane. So I love that part about him. I think one of the misnomers about Justin Fields is when you look at him and you think 6'3", 225, 4'4". Like, you think he's going to be a guy that's scrambling around, always buying time, making plays. You know, he's not really that guy. Like, that's not his. He's not a scramble around Johnny Manziel. He's not a scramble around, buy time, make a bunch of big plays. I look at Justin Fields, I think he has the potential to be absolutely insane, but I do see some of the critiques that some people are saying, and it's okay, by the way. I'm not hating on Justin Fields. I do see him hang on to his number one wide receiver too long. I do see some great traits with him, but I understand why people wouldn't say he's my number one quarterback or my number two quarterback, and why he would be 4 or 5 down the list for some people.
All right, so we will keep an eye on that, obviously. These things remain somewhat fluid, and he has another pro day coming up this week. So, Jeff Darlington, I come to you as one who has followed the Patriots closely for so many years. Again, how would you assess the likelihood that Bill Belichick does something significant to address the quarterback position in this draft, be it moving up, as Mel is projecting, or something else?
Well, we're in uncharted territory, Greeny. I mean, this is like the rest of the NFL is now looking at Bill Belichick's conundrum here saying, see the way the rest of us feel when we're trying to find a quarterback? It's the first time he's had to do it in 2 decades. So while he has the ability to be somewhat patient, at the same time, he's got a legacy that he's trying to also uphold here. Lou is exactly right, though. Belichick will never be forced into doing anything he doesn't want to do. The one interesting thing I do find in this, when we talk about pro days and which ones the Patriots will ultimately attend, the Patriots were at Trevor Lawrence's pro day. Bill Belichick knows he wasn't going to be able to draft Trevor Lawrence, but he is intrigued and invested enough in this quarterback class that he wants to know where Lawrence, for instance, stacks up with everybody else. That tells me more than anything else that Bill Belichick is very interested in drafting a quarterback in 2021. No, he will not force it, but the intrigue is there.
Go ahead, David, real quick.
Well, we talk about Bill Belichick won't be forced into anything. I agree. He did just spend $200 million in free agency. So, like, I think that he understands his roster ain't been that great, and he needed to do something to fix it. So he just spent $200 million for a reason.
All right, well, let's leave that there for the moment. We have so much to do. I got to circle back to Mel on a variety of other things from this. As we continue in a moment, would the 49ers be making a huge mistake if they take Mac Jones, or is he the perfect choice to take them back to the Super Bowl? We will talk about that coming up in just a moment. And he's never been shy about making a draft day trade. Does Jerry Jones need to